Turn on your sound. Welcome aboard. This is Brian Johnson, and I'm actually going live on Tuesday night, which is not my night usually. And tonight we're going to carry on with part 2 of being the best version of yourself. And if this is your first time, just type first timer in the message box so that way we can make sure you're squared away, make sure you're taken care of, make sure you're loved on, and all that fun stuff. And if you are a veteran, just type veteran. Welcome aboard. What's up, Miss Cynthia? Hey, Melissa. Hey, Tara. And hey, if you don't mind sharing, please do. This way I can help more people just like yourself. And if you have benefit in some way, form, or fashion, that's the best way you can allow me to help more people. And I appreciate you. So tonight, we're going to get into being the best version of yourself. And tonight, we're going to get into some stuff that I am near and dear and super passionate about. And we're going to get into emotional breakthrough stuff. What's up, Martine? Welcome. You and I should be connected over the next couple of days as to be speaking, I believe, sometime soon, I believe. Dario, what's going on, my friend? Kimberly Miller. So, tonight, we're going to be talking about some body language stuff. We're going to be talking about how you can be the best version of yourself. And we're also going to be talking about some skill sets and tactics that are necessary for you to be able to thrive. And naturally, that's what you really want, right? Of course, me too. So what I'm going to do is actually share with you some specific things that you can do. So my encouragement to you is to take notes. Matter of fact, if you're not on our email list, this is where all of my notes go. So you can follow along with everything I have printed out. Hey, Shannon. So make sure you go to step 1 above and get on our email list. That way we can send you our notes specifically. So you can print these up and follow along, because literally what I'm sharing with you is the exact same information that my high-level clients pay me a nice little chunk of money to support and serve them with. And you are actually getting to have a bird's eye view of some of it for free. So my encouragement to you is to take advantage of it while it's there. Use the skill sets that we are offering and sharing with you to advance your well-being to areas that you more than likely didn't even know were available. So let's have some fun, all right? So currently, are you having any challenges in these areas? Number 1, your career. Meaning, if you are not in the mindset of, I am enthusiastic about my life when you get up in the morning, then guess what? There's room available to upgrade. Going the rest of your life being unhappy with what you're doing, in my opinion, does not sound like fun at all. And when you start uncovering belief systems and things that are going on, you'll literally be able to shift these faster. And we're going to talk about that. So what about if you're unhappy in your health? If you have illnesses that are popping up? If you have relationship challenges that are having a challenge? What's up, Miss Lena? If you have relationship challenges, broken relationships, challenges with mom and dad, challenges holding down a relationship with a partner, all of this stuff can be directly impacted by our subconscious and the belief systems that could still be operating internally that are keeping us from being the best version of ourselves. Hey, Corianne, I think I said it right, Corianne. Let me know if I did not, and if I didn't, I apologize. So, and then you have your mental capacity, what's your internal conversation about? What type of conversations are you having internally with yourself? Are you your best friend or your worst enemy? And I assure you, as human beings, no matter how enlightened we get, we can still have that double voice going on that is not necessarily supporting us in that conversation. So the key is what tools do you have necessary to be able to resolve that? Or are you even aware that that stuff is actually going on? Because most people are unaware that this conversation is even going on. They just know that they feel bad, they're unmotivated, they don't know what to do, they're feeling apathetic, meaning this is too hard and I can't. What happens is that a lot of times is thoughts that stem out and start creating feelings in our body. Because here's the thing to understand. The thoughts that you think, the thoughts that I think, produce chemicals in my body and create a neurochemical relationship that make my body feel the way that I'm thinking. And then our body gets smart, which is our subconscious. And it says, okay, I see that you're consistently producing these types of thoughts that are producing these types of chemicals. Now I'm going to produce these types of chemicals to help you out. And in turn, you're going to get those kinds of thoughts. So what that does is it creates an endless loop. And unless you are aware of that, and unless you have the skill sets necessary to be able to authentically identify that, there is no moving forward. There's only reaction off of experiences that we ultimately are creating. And until we can get really honest with ourselves, we're not going to be able to resolve that. And naturally, if that makes sense, just type a yes. And let's see where we're at. All right. So, do you find yourself having any unconscious sabotage? Because that's where most of it is. For those of you that know a little bit about me, I have been suicidal. I've been 250 pounds 3 different times. And I can tell you that a lot of my sabotage was subconscious, meaning I was completely unaware of why I kept doing things. Hey, Allison. I was completely unaware of why I kept doing these things. And until you are aware, there's no changing it. All right. So here's what we're going to start talking about. And for those of you that have ever heard me talk about body language before, just type a yes. And let's get a feel of where we are at. And that way I can detail my information to support you and give you some great value today so that you have something to use now. Naturally, that's going to be most effective for you. Is your sabotage subconscious? My sabotage, it used to be subconscious. All right, so let's do this. Yes, okay. So now, for some of you, this may be review, and that's good because you're going to find as you invest more time with me, I'm all about mastering the basics, which means repetition is the mother of all skill. And you're also going to find a couple of things that I do as far as tactics and how I retrieve and how I invest energy towards earning new skill sets. It has to go through a certain filter before I'll start investing the time, because you and I both know you cannot get your time back, period, at all. And if you're not very wary of that and good at saying no, then guess what? You're going to have people who are going to burglarize your time all the time, and something's always going to pop up. What's up, Miss Audrey Nicole? Great to see you as always. So let's talk about this. The first thing that you must understand in order to be the best version of yourself and to move forward is getting real with where you're currently at. What I mean by getting real, I mean being lovingly authentic, not being brutally honest. Lovingly authentic will allow you to move faster, much faster, with the light speed and frequency of love versus judgment and guilt and shame and all the other stuff, right? So here's the thing. The first 3 things that you get to know, this is body language, and this is how you can check in with yourself and figure out exactly where you are at, okay? At any point in time in the day, you can check in and say, okay, here's where I'm at. First thing, everybody, zone into your body right now and tell me, do you notice any tightness in your stomach? If you notice some tightness in your stomach, type a yes. Or actually type yes, stomach. And let's get a feel. So first question on the table is, do you notice any tightness in your stomach? And I'm going to explain to you exactly what this means so you can use it today. And so you know, when you have tightness in your stomach, that is where fear shows up at. And that's what it feels like. Which means, Martine, does fear resonate with you, Martine? Lena, do you have tightness in your stomach? My abs burn. You just did the workout too. Yes, stomach, because I just ate overweight. Hey, Heather. So what I would encourage you to do is to look deeper than the artificial things that could be going on. Do you notice tightness in your stomach often? Is your stomach messed up? Meaning, do you have diarrhea and challenges with your digestive process? Because if so, then that means it's operating. Fear, grief, both of those are opportunities, okay? So just remember, number 1, stomach tightness is fear. Let's go up our body. And let's go to number 2, which is your chest and your throat, all right? So if you're tight in your chest or your throat, that means that there is sorrow that's operating, all right? I'm going to repeat that. If you are tight in your chest or your throat, that means that there is sorrow operating. Okay? Very important. Okay, so you got it, Martine? So it is fear? Okay, perfect. Okay. Hey, Joyce. Welcome, young lady. Great to see you as always. I appreciate you taking time to invest it with us. Chest pain from time to time. Okay. So, second thing we're talking about, ladies, for that just hopped on, all of the people that are hopping in right now, point number 1, if your stomach is tight, that's where fear shows up. Number 2, if your chest and throat's tight, that's where sorrow shows up. Let me turn my fan on. Hold on. If your chest and your throat's tight, that's where sorrow shows up at. Okay? Now, here's the next one. If your back and your neck is tight, that is where anger shows up at. Now, this is the most important part of our conversation. Are you ready? I know you are, because if you're on my training right now, you are 125% committed to being your best self without a doubt, or you would not be here. So here you go. When you say this, when you have something that pops up emotionally, understand it's never about what's wrong. It's always about what is returning to you emotionally. Here's what I mean by that. If I'm walking around and I'm driving around the car, which is my typical example, and I notice that I have tightness in my chest, and I'm like, oh, God dang it. I'm feeling sad again about blah, 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 or I'm feeling sorrow, whichever word you choose to use, and I'm automatically condemning myself about what's wrong with me. Well, when I'm in right or wrong, that whole conversation of right or wrong is automatic condemnation, which means guilt. I'm not good enough, just condemnation. Instead, if I can look at this conversation and look at my experience and say, okay, here's where I'm off my mark, and right now it happens to be sorrow because that's what my body is indicating. And what does my sorrow turn into? Great question, Brian. Wow, you're a genius. That's right. Okay, so when I say my sorrow is operating, the thing that's on deck to me emotionally is my joy. Why is that important, Brian? Didn't think you'd ask. It's important because if we do not understand what we are putting out emotionally, vibrationally into our environment, into the ethers, into our universe, like attracts like, which means if you're operating in sadness emotionally in your emotional body, doesn't matter what you're thinking, if your body is telling you that you're operating in sadness because your chest and your throat is tight, guess what? You are now going to experience more people that create sadness in your life, circumstances that create sadness in your life, experiences that create sadness in your life, and situations that create sadness in your life. All because this is what we are putting out emotionally. Same thing with anger. If you find yourself anger and your back and neck is tight and you're waking up between the hours of 1 and 3 a.m. consistently, and you find yourself being really frustrated and agitated with people, guess what, my friends? There's some anger that's present, which means when you have anger, you are going to attract more people in your life that are angry, that are going to in turn create more anger for you. Notice I didn't say make you angry. Anytime I say such and such makes me angry, I have completely showed up as a victim. Instead, I would say, you know what, such and such, I notice, I feel anger when you do that. Big difference because there's no projection. For example, Joyce, you're going to role play for a second, all right? So if I were to say, you know what, Joyce, I hate it when you do such and such. You make me angry. What I just did was completely project all of my nonsense onto her and completely showed up as the victim. And instead, what I could say, you know what, Joyce? I notice that I feel anger when you do blank, blank, blank. Can you feel the difference on the delivery on that? Can you feel the difference on the argument that was be avoided by approaching it that way? That in itself will make a massive difference in your life, just understanding how to express yourself without projecting. All of this stuff we talk about in our emotional breakthrough series, like getting into the language commands and all the body language stuff, our body language program is not listed on there. And if you would like to enroll in it, you must message me first, because that one we have to discuss. Okay? So, back on action. So here's what we're going to do. Okay? So who on here has back and neck challenges? Who feels anger? Let's talk about it. Allison, yes, changes the vibe every day. That's right. So when you actually can understand what you feel accurately, at that point in time, you can now shift your whole experience by what it is that you're saying and what it is that you're doing. Because what you're thinking is creating your feelings. When I notice this, when I notice that my feelings are off and I don't feel good, or I don't feel optimal rather, because I feel good 99.9% of the time, I notice that when I feel off, it's because my thinking is creating it that way. Either, it's important to understand this, whatever we think about most of the time, that's what we get. You get what you think about most of the time. Henry Ford also said this, either you think you can or you think you can't. Either way, you're correct. It is the thinking that makes it so. All right? Back and neck, severe. All right, Melissa, I'm a mixed bag of emotions. Aren't we all, young lady? Welcome aboard. Responsibility for our actions and reactions. That's right. Great. Okay, so just understand the theme of tonight. Whatever I think about most of the time, I get or I become. So if you think about being in pain, being less than, being poor, being broke, being unhealthy, whatever it is, you're going to get that. And you're also going to look for experiences in your environment that validate that story. As soon as you shift that story and you shift the internal belief systems and the experiences that you're operating off of internally by understanding what your body is telling you, then you can actually shift your entire experience. And it does not take long with the right tools. That's the important part. I see more miracles happen in seconds to minutes with body language in our emotional breakthrough series. Hands down, not saying this because it's ours. I'm saying it because I actively pursue and look for information that creates miracles the fastest. I have not found anything that beats how fast emotional code through body language and through emotional breakthrough series will actually beat yet. And I have a feeling that nothing will, simply because you're mastering your language and you're mastering your body. When you understand what your body is telling you and can articulate it and can then make a new choice through your language choice and get the proper syntax or the order of language commands in order so that you are empowering your subconscious by what you're speaking, scripturally speaking, by our words we are justified, and by our words we are condemned. Good, bad, or indifferent. Whatever you say, you get. And a lot of times as human beings, we have had stories that have happened younger in life, or rather experiences that have happened that we have made up stories about, that what happens is as these stories go unaddressed, they get repressed and suppressed, which means they're no longer in our conscious mind, although they are still 100% alive and active and still creating our experiences to this day. So if you have challenges with dad, you may very well have experiences with male figures in your life that created a challenge. Maybe even husbands, maybe even boyfriends, teachers, whatever. If you have a challenge with your mom or female figures, you may notice that you're more triggered by female figures. All of this is really a blessing. Hey, Lily from Australia. All of this is really a blessing because we get triggered specifically so that we can identify our glitches and where we're not operating at our highest. So understand something. If you're judging someone and you're throwing the finger saying, bam, look at that. Guess what? There's 3 pointing back. And that means whatever you caught, you got. Here's an example. Okay. I talked about this one last time, and this is me and my own stuff. Like, I have glitches that I've been catching and been playing around with and figuring out where they came from and why I got triggered. It's really been an interesting story, interesting experience, because sometimes our triggers will happen and the actual root of the challenge is 4, 5, or 6 layers deep. deep, meaning not even in our awareness at all. I mean, understand, feelings buried alive never die. All right? Feelings buried alive never die. Okay? So you may have heard me tell this story about how not too long ago, I was actually really triggered by little kids. Like, really triggered by little kids. I would have kids over at my house. I'm like, man, here's what I noticed. The little kids specifically that I was triggered about would always be singing and having a good time. Like, they didn't give a rat's ass whether you liked it or not. Period. They were just enjoying themselves. And I find myself getting triggered. I'm like, man, interesting, Brian. I wonder what I'm triggered about. Well, here's what I finally figured out. I was triggered because I had something in me that I had lost, and it had gone so long ago that I had it that I completely suppressed it, forgot about it, and I got triggered. And basically, here's what it was. I was triggered because of the way that the little kids could just sing and enjoy themselves and not be concerned one iota about what you, me, or anyone else thought, and had no care at all. And what I noticed was that I missed that about me because I used to be the same way. And a lot of times as we age, we can have fears and things that pop up about being judged, about will I be enough? Will I be loved? Like, these are deep-rooted, fundamental, genetically installed needs as human beings that we are constantly looking to fulfill. One of them is, am I enough? Number two is, will I be loved? Hey, babe. So understanding that these belief systems are operating whether we are aware of it or not, and when we understand it, what happens is it allows us to understand why we are making certain decisions to fill certain needs that we more than likely are completely unaware of. I did this by reading a couple books. Actually, I did this by having a different understanding from Tony Robbins and from the book called Surrender, The Pathway to Letting Go. And what happened was, is Tony talks about this. He talks about when you're triggered by someone, a lot of times, and you don't know exactly why, what happens is we're triggered because we used to have that same characteristic that person is exhibiting, but it's been so long ago that we have forgotten about it and suppressed it. And unless you can give yourself permission to remember or understand why, most of the times you won't understand why it was. It took me about 4 or 5 times to really figure that out, though. And once I figured that out, it was totally cool. Then I gave myself permission to enjoy my kid. And for those of you that are around me sometimes I can be a pain in the ass, and a lot of times I can be a kid at heart and really just joke around a lot. And sometimes I can be a pain in the ass, kind of a difficult person. Penny will say that. She's been around me for 12 years, so she knows me better than I know myself most of the time. So, did that make sense so far? If that made sense, just type a yes. And for those of you looking to really take action and you're interested, I've got 2 options for you. You can still get our Nutrition Empowerment Series for only $77. That's $427 off the retail price. That's only good for the next couple of days. So if you haven't taken advantage of it, go to step 2 and you can do that. Just follow the process through there. You still get 3 bonuses. Number 1, you get added to our closed Facebook group for added support and another weekly call specifically for our family. It's a $1,000 value for free, and you're in it for a lifetime. Number 2, you also get our audio series so that you actually can have an audio version of our digital format so you can listen to it while you're driving down the road. And number 3, you actually get to have a conversation with me before you actually start taking your stuff so I can help you understand where you're at and what you get to do. Now, if you have our nutrition series and you would like to get our emotional series for $97, that's $400 off, go to step 3. You still get the same bonuses. You get added to our group. I'm going to give you the audio version of our emotional breakthrough series, and you still get a conversation with me for sure. Make sure if you're doing our emotional breakthrough series and you go to step 3, use the code EMOTION97. If you get stuck, message me, Jocelyn, or Audrey can help out too, and we'll get you squared away. All right? I encourage you to take action to be the best version of yourself, because the only way that we can truly help you is to get you a great foundation of skill sets that you hear me talking about right now so that you understand these like you understand the back of your hand. When you do that, notice I didn't say if. When you do that, almost magically, your life will start to transform, because I will tell you from my own life and what I've experienced. I have gone through being probably dead 10 times, to the bottom of jail cells, to high on drugs, everyone you could possibly imagine, to completely 250 pounds 3 different times, to completely transforming my life to what and where we're at now, with no desire to do any of that. I'll be tied up the rest of the evening, Nick. You have to connect with Jocelyn. I've got our 6-week coaching call, our 6-week challenge coaching call at 8, so we'll have to set something up. But just trust me on this. If the information doesn't serve you, you can have your money back 100%, 30-day guarantee. I'll put the Brian Johnson stamp on it, that if it does not serve you, I will let you keep our programs and give you your money back. So, you have some access. What do you mean? Let me know. I'll give you some access. Jocelyn will give you some access for sure. All right, so let's talk about this. Let's go through, and I'm actually going to show you how you can take the information that I just said, with fear in your stomach, sorrow in your chest or your throat, or anger in your back and your neck, and I'm going to show you how to resolve one of them before we cut out, okay? So here's the most important part. Here's the acronym that I created for you to make it simple. Undoubtedly, when you follow it, you will be successful every time. Predictably, humbly, and consistently. Okay? So here's the deal. My acronym is ABRA, like abracadabra, poof, magic. All right? The A stands for acknowledge. The B stands for breathe. There you go, Audrey. The R stands for release. The second R stands for realign. And the A stands for appreciate. So let's go through this. And for those of you up here on my Think Great page, Audrey is actually writing it all out. Someone down here may write it out for you. If not, get it later. Okay, why I like this so much is because it's so easy to remember. I have conditioned myself to plug in every hour to see where I'm at. It takes me seconds to scan my body. Here's the path. You either start from your feet and work your way up to your head, or you start from your head and work your way down to your feet. Very simple. It works every time. Like, I have not found one time that it has not worked, other than when someone has not made it okay to feel their feelings. Meaning they've had experiences in the past where they've shut themselves down from feelings and didn't think that it was okay. At that point in time, it hasn't worked, and I had to regress to actually use the command, I give myself permission to feel my feelings, and it's okay. That right there is what helped to reconnect my person with themselves. Because let's be honest, by a show of hands or a yes, how about this? If this resonates with you, just type a yes. Has there ever been a time when you were younger in life that you did not think that it was okay to feel your feelings? It could be recently, it could have been earlier on in life with mom and dad. Like, what does that mean for you? Was there ever a time in life where it wasn't okay to feel your feelings? What about I choose to make this fun and easy? It's a great statement. Okay, perfect. Lots of yeses. So I'm going to share this with you. Again, what I'm talking to you about right now is in step 3, our emotional breakthrough series. This is very important because what you are saying is directly creating every bit of your experience. Now that you're aware of it, question is, what do you get to do about it? Meaning you get to have a whole nother set of language skills to replace your current ones with. It's one thing to understand that there's a word option that you can shift. For example, want versus choose. It's another thing to be able to integrate that and implement that consistently to make that new choice. That is where you start experiencing heaven on earth, and you start raising the octaves of your emotional vibration by what you're saying. For example, have you ever heard me talk about Dr. Emoto and the powers of miracles of water and these things right here? Like, I am blessed, I am prosperous, I'm highly favored. Let's drink some too. Thank you. Yes, I am. So when you understand words and you understand the powers of them, the fastest way that you can ever upgrade your life is by understanding what you are saying. Because what you are saying is either creating empowerment or disempowerment. And here's how you know. If you're out of shape right now, if you have broken relationships consistently that haven't been able to repair, if you find yourself stuck in a job that you hate and don't love, if you find yourself having challenges in your relationships and not loving yourself, you, my friends, have negative self-dialogue, and it has been going on for some time. And it will continue to go on for the rest of your life unless you make a choice today to change it and to do something about it. And may I be Brian with you for a moment? Great. Guess what? It's a lot easier than what you're thinking. All you have to do is learn some other word options, learn when to shift them, bada bing. That's it. Your body will make some type of movement. As soon as you change a word, you will feel empowered because you straighten up. Here, let's do it. Sit up in your chair. Sit up in your chair nice and tall, and what you're going to say is you're going to say, I want. And just pay attention to what happens in this area of your body. So when I say I want, here's what I notice for me. And I'm not doing the power of suggestion. I'm merely giving you an understanding of what I feel. And when you are connected with yourself, meaning you can feel your body and you are in alignment, you also will feel something very similar, if not the same. All right? What's up, Daniel? So when I say, hopefully, hey, let me know if Jocelyn got you squared away. I sent her your email, bro. Sorry, it's been a crazy day. So check it out. So if you say, I want, pay attention to what happens in your chest. My chest automatically gets tight, and I notice that I close off. In body language terms, remember, sorrow shows up in your chest, in your throat. Yes or yes? Of course, we just went over it. Okay? So if sorrow shows up in your chest or your throat and you say, I want, why is that? Let's talk about it. Scripturally speaking, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking biblically speaking. There is a verse that says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. What does that mean? Well, if we just don't even bother what it means and we abide by the law and at least plug in to see if it works, here's what you're going to notice. When you say I want, your chest caves off, which is automatically a burden. When your chest is open up nice and tall and your vertebrae and your spine is straight, that is empowerment. That's when you are empowered. When you're disempowered, you're caved off. Your body language is closed off. Okay? So when I say I want, that's immediately what happens. If I can shift or cancel as I shift into a new word and I say I choose, automatically my volume got louder, my spine cranked back up, and I stood up straight. What's your experience? What did you notice? Can you see the value and the benefit in understanding this for yourself? Instinctively, of course you do. It's the fastest way to upgrade your life by changing your vocabulary and being 100% super conscious, awake and aware of exactly how you feel when you say certain words or phrases. And as you get to be more ninja-ish or conscious, what happens is you are aware when you're saying things that are disempowering you because of how you feel. When you don't feel enthusiastic and you don't feel ready to go grab the world by the horns or by the tail, whatever it is you choose, that's because there has been a lot of negative thought patterns that have been operating, as well as words that are reinforcing that. And now your body feels like dookie-doo because the words have been creating a neurochemical response that completely condition your body to feel the way that you're thinking. And then when your body starts to learn that, oh, wow, here's what we're doing on a normal basis. I learned to do it faster because this is what you taught me. Now what happens is you've got a biofeedback loop to where now your body is producing chemicals, making your brain think a certain way. Now what? Guess what? Or then what? What you going to do? You know what I mean? One of those. And unless you have some new skill sets to plug into it, you're not going to be able to shift it at all. That's the spooky part. Okay, so let's talk about Abra. So here's what you can do. If we're talking about, there you go, Psalms 2:3. If you're talking about your chest being tight, that's where sorrow shows up. You can't make your mom's positive. You focus on you focus on loving your mom inside of you, and it will change her as you're consistent with it. There is no one outside of you. For example, if I notice that I have a challenge with a family member and I do the work on me, loving my family member, forgiving my family member, loving myself through my family member, what happens is you will start to shift the other person. It is crazy. It sounds nuts. It's called quantum physics. I have been in classes specifically where I was coached back into my experience. Specifically, hey Deborah, when I was suicidal, I will have a story for you. Are you open-minded to this? You can only make yourself positive. This is right, Martine. I have a story for you. Are you cool with me sharing this with you? Because I think it will be right on point with where we're at right now. So when I was in my class with my coach and I was scratching my arm and I finally said, all right, I'm going to go ask my coach what this means. Well, what happened is he asked me a question and I simply said something like, I don't want to be scratching my arm. Guess what happened? I don't want to be is code for I don't want to be here on the planet. Hey, Hannah Zer-Levy, welcome, young lady. Hey, have you enjoyed our emotional breakthrough series? Was it worth your investment? So what happened was, as my coach was talking to me, he literally helped to coach me back into my experience of me loving myself and me being right here, right now, because I was 4 or 5 levels away from here and now. That's how many layers of unconsciousness stuff I had on. Awesome. She loved it. Okay. So what happened is as he coached me back into my experience, literally, when I left class that day, to be perfectly blind with you, I thought that someone had given me some acid or something because things were breathing. The trees were going, birds and wildlife were going. I had people messaging me and calling me out of the blue. Period, that I hadn't talked to in 4 or 5 years that said, hey, Brian, we're just thinking about you, man. I wanted to tell you that I love you. And I'm like, what's going on here? These people had no idea I was even in class all day long. And what's even interesting than that, I got home to my house here in Austin with Penny and Riley, and they were all acting differently towards me. Our interaction was different because basically what I had did is I had bitten the bullet and help to resurrect myself emotionally by giving myself full permission to be uncomfortable to be able to move forward. I gave myself full permission to be coached, to be fully out of my element, and to allow my coach to support me and help me get back into my body, to loving myself, to forgiving myself. And when I did that, 5, 6 years ago, it dramatically changed my life from that day moving forward in ways that I could possibly have. I don't know if I could really fully explain to you all the ways that it has changed. And my question to you is this. If I ask you the question right now, do you love yourself? What is your response? And this is not a rhetorical question. This is a response required. So type a message on there. And you're completely safe. You're completely secure. Say where you're at authentically. If you don't know, then say I don't know. If I say sometimes. If I say yes, then say yes. If I say no, then say no. It's completely fine. The only way for you to get better is to be honest with where you're at. And it's the journey about being your best self is about being loving with yourself and being authentic with yourself 100% of the time, no matter what is on the line. You hold yourself accountable for you being your best version. Perfect. Great job, Martine. Awesome, Nick. Yes, there's always room for improvement. Parts of me. Okay, perfect. Okay, awesome, ladies and gents. So let's talk about this, okay? So here's the deal. Are you open-minded to getting yourself back on your path and being able to love yourself and being able to forgive yourself for falling off your mark? Are you willing and open-minded to do that right now? Because if you're willing and open-minded to do that right now, I am going to walk you through a process. Absolutely. Awesome. Martine, this is for you, young lady. I love you and I appreciate you. Let's do this. Okay? Sit up straight in your chair, please. Be fully present. And you're going to say out loud I choose to make this fun and easy. All right? What you're going to do next is you're going to say, I give myself permission to forgive myself for not loving myself. And it's okay. I give myself permission to forgive myself for not loving myself, and it's okay. And just breathe into your stomach. All right? Now, I'm going to do a visual exercise with you. So close your eyes. What you're going to do is you're going to go into your brain and think about your brain as a huge roll of film, just like you would at the movies. And you have the whole roll of film there. And as you look through your life, which is that roll of film, and you look through your head and you look through your life, find the film pieces in there that are muddy and mucky that you don't like, that maybe some experiences happen in your life to where you're still judging your stuff and you're still holding on to. Or maybe there were some experiences where you had some experiences with dad or someone in your family that are really unbearable to think about. Find all those. Find the film pieces, the film strips that are muddy and dirty. And I'll give you a couple seconds to locate them. You're just doing a visual exercise right now. All right, let me give you a few more seconds. Locate all the ones that are dirty and that are mucky and that have a nasty feeling around them, and just locate them and just let it be okay. And just say, you know what? I give myself permission to surrender all of my feelings attached to my experiences, and it's okay. All right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to grab every one of those film pieces, every one of those film slides that has negative and nasty feelings or nasty emotions and bad experiences, and you're going to grab those and you're going to pull those up and out of the film. It's no longer in your movie. All right? Pull all of them out and breathe as you're going through it and say, I choose to make this fun and easy. Now, it's time for some upgrades. So what you're going to do is you're literally going to reach your hand in the air and you're going to allow God to give you some new film. Take the film of His love, of His forgiveness, of His grace, of His mercy, of His perfect timing, of His balance, of everything that He offers to you as a human being. Receive it and accept it, and take those slides and plug it into your new slide deck. And breathe into it. And just say, I choose to love my sorrow into my joy. I choose to love my anger into my forgiveness. I choose to love my apathy into, I choose to make this fun and easy. And I choose to move forward in my life enthusiastically, with grace, peace, and ease. And just check in with yourself and see how you feel right now. I give myself permission to love myself again. All right. Anyone feel any different? I feel different, and I love myself already. Anyone feel any different? Any interesting experiences pop up? That was a short version. We did about 2 minutes, but you should at least have some understanding of how you can create a couple things and use some different techniques to retrieve and to filter. What's up, Matt? Welcome aboard, brother. To feel some different things going on for sure. I feel lighter. That's right. Because think about this, ladies and gents. We all have a metaphorical backpack, which means that we have a backpack that we carry around all of our former experiences, good, bad, or indifferent. Basically, what you just did was you took some of those heavy-duty backpacks, those bricks out, and you threw them out and said, you know what? Thank you so much for what you've done for me. If it wasn't for you, I would not be the human being that I am today. I appreciate you. I validate you. And I also let you go and turn you free. And I'm now implementing some new things in my life. And there will be no need for you because I'm bringing your brother or your sister in. Yeah, you may feel a bit more organized, because here's the deal. If you find yourself really, really cluttery mentally, and you are just finding yourself having a lot of cluster, what's the word I'm looking for? Clutter and everything over your house, that is directly impacted. You are creating that internally because that's a direct extension of you. So it's very well you may feel that you do feel more organized because your brain is filtering information more effectively and you're not having bricks and blockades in there of past experiences that aren't serving you. So, awesome. So hopefully you got some great value out of that. I'm going to cut it short now because I get to do our 6-week challenge, folks, on week 3 coming up in 15 minutes. So here's the thing, man. Like, look, if you're really serious and you haven't gotten involved in any of our series yet, hey, Ashley, I highly encourage you to take action today while you have the opportunity to get them for so inexpensive. Our Emotional Breakthrough series is literally only $97. That's $400 off retail price. Our nutrition series is only $77. That's $420 off the retail price. Go to step 2 in my post above for our nutrition series. Go to step 3 in my post above for our emotion series, and make sure you use the code emotion97, all one word, and hit apply. If you have questions, just message me or message Jocelyn, and we'll get Audrey hooked up where she can also help out. But here's the thing, I'm just really going to encourage you to make this year the best year of your life. And you do that by working on yourself today. What you're doing today is what's going to help your tomorrow. And unless you are consistently doing stuff to work on yourself, you're going to have a challenge moving forward. And unless you have the right skill sets necessary to be able to move forward, you're also going to have a challenge moving forward. So my encouragement to you is to make a decision now to trust me and to follow my advice and allow me to help you, just like all the other people that we're blessed to get to help out, to help you implement and integrate the skill sets necessary for you to thrive. Naturally, that's what we're really looking for, right? Of course. Me too. So if you have any questions, I'll tell you the bonuses. You obviously get added to our closed Facebook group for weekly calls we're having now and daily support, and a group of amazing people on there. Number 2, Jocelyn can get that fixed for you. Number 2, you'll get the audio series for either our nutrition series or for our emotional series, depending upon which one you choose, or you can do both and take advantage of our special. And the third one is you and I get to have a conversation. You get to have a conversation to go through. Interesting. One of our people that was just on here started throwing up. I bet you money that was exactly what that's an energetic purge. How interesting is that? Nothing happens by chance, peoples. Nothing happens by chance. Everything on the planet has a purpose. When you're walking around the corner and you bang your foot in the wall, that it has a purpose because that is emotional information. All right. So that's all I have. If you have any message or have any questions, message me. I'll be flying out to Atlanta tomorrow for a couple of days. I'll be around. I'll probably do some Facebook stuff. Yes, Nicholas, if you have to message Jocelyn and she can get you set up. She's probably in this feed somewhere. Or I can do it later when I get the opportunity. So that's all I have. If you got any questions, message me. I appreciate you. I love you. I vote your victory. And I will see those of you tonight that are in my 6-week challenge. We start week 3 tonight in about 13 minutes. So have an amazing night. Like I said, if there's any way I can support you, let me know. Take action, get yourself involved so we can get you plugged in and get you on the way to being the best version of yourself today. Have a night. Bye-bye.